to white man or Indian. I think you already know this. I don't want to put any more drunken Indians in my jail. I think you better stop selling whiskey." "Damned if he ain't mighty uppity for an Injun," Bob said. "You gonna let him talk to you like that?" Tiny laughed. "He's the local Choctaw policeman. He knows damn well he ain't got no say-so about anything a white man does." He sneered at Little Eagle. "Ain't that right, Jim?" "I think you would be wise to take my warning and stop selling whiskey," Jim insisted. "Maybe it would be best if you move your business someplace else. Atoka is a peaceful town." "This ain't Atoka. This is Boggy Town. And I got as much right to be here as any of them stores in town," Tiny said. "Maybe it'd be best if you take your Injun ass out of here before somebody's gun goes off accidentally." His warning prompted the other three at the table to push their chairs back, preparing for a possible shooting. With no change in the solemn expression on his face to reveal his frustration, Jim Little Eagle replied, "That would be an unfortunate thing to happen, because my rifle fires by itself when accidents happen. And you are such a big target, white man. You would be hard to miss." When Stump Grissom started to react, Jim whipped his rifle around, ready to fire. "Let him go, Stump," Tiny warned. "You shoot one of them Injun policemen, and there'll be a whole slew of deputy marshals down here." He looked back at Jim. "All right, you've said your piece, so get on out of here and let us get back to minding our own business." Knowing there was nothing he could legally do to close the saloon, Jim backed out the door. With a keen eye still on the door, he climbed on his horse and rode away. He had at least accomplished one thing by making the visit. He verified the suspicion he had that Tiny McGee was operating a saloon. There had been no attempt to hide the whiskey bottle in the middle of the table. He would now notify the marshal in Fort Smith. Behind him, the four men filed into the kitchen to eat supper. "Soon as we finish eating," Bob Atkins suggested, "why don't we take a little ride into town and make sure all them folks are awake?" "Good morning, Will." U.S. Marshal Dan Stone greeted his young deputy when he walked in the door of his office over the jail in Fort Smith. "Are you ready to get back to work?" "Yes, sir, I surely am," Will replied, and took a seat across from Stone's desk. It was a truthful answer, for he had spent the last 3 days in town, most of it sitting around Bennett House drinking coffee and listening to Sophie Bennett and her mother talking about the wedding coming up. Out of desperation, he had excused himself from their discussions from time to time, telling them he had to check on his horses and tack. He found himself longing for the hills and open prairies, and that was something that troubled him. His on-again, then off-again engagement to Sophie had been due to his job as a deputy marshal and the fact that it caused him to be gone most of the time. When he thought about it, he couldn't really blame her for wanting him to go back to the ranch in Texas, a ranch she had never seen. That was another thing that upset her. He had promised to take her there 3 weeks ago, but had to answer a call from Dan Stone to ride with 8 other deputies to capture a gang of train robbers targeting the MKT Railroad. Noticing a look of distraction in Will's face, Stone commented, "You look like your mind's off someplace else." He flashed a smile and asked, "You thinking about that wedding? Is that where your mind was?" "Yes, sir. I expect it might have been, but it's back on business now," Will said. Stone had guessed right, but Will felt no inclination to tell his boss that he wasn't sure about getting married. He knew he would, however, because he had asked Sophie to marry him, and she had said yes. "Good," Stone said. "I'm sending you and Ed Pine down to Atoka to arrest 3 men who've been terrorizing the town." When he saw Will's questioning expression, he paused before continuing. "I know, you're thinking that sounds like a job for one deputy with a posse man and a cook, but Ed's been pushing me to send him back in the field. So I told him I would, but only in partnership with another deputy. He feels like he's ready to ride again, but I think he's still a little weak from that chest wound. He just won't admit it."